perished in the flames, which they themselves had kindled.
The actual wiping out or the extermination of a foreign nation was part and parcel of Roman foreign policy. They didn't actually have a word for genocide, but it's quite clear from remarks made by Roman emperors that they saw nothing necessarily reprehensible about wiping out in its entirety a Celtic or a Germanic or indeed a British nation if it suited them so to do.
It was a time of Roman expansion. The empire had already crushed Celtic tribes in Western Europe and now wanted to do the same thing in Britain. The policy of client kingdoms was finished. Native tribes like the Iceni would have to choose. Were they with Rome or against it? The Roman governor, Suetonius, hadn't been assigned his job to be considerate of local feelings, but his job hadn't been made any easier by the new emperor in Rome, Nero. Nero wanted money.
Prasutagus got the support of Rome, and he got the finances of Rome. Seneca tells us that the emperor alone had invested 40 million sesterces in loans to the British tribes, which was a phenomenal amount of money. We're talking millions of pounds equivalent in currency.
Money is the root of all evil, and so it turned out in the run-up to the Boudican revolt. The Roman administration, very foolishly as it turned out, attempted to try and treat these gifts of money as loans, and they tried to call them in. And of course, by this time, the Britons had spent the money, and it would have actually been very, very difficult for a lot of these kings, certainly in East Anglia, to have raised that amount of ready cash.
We know that the procurator was not a gentleman, even by Roman standards, and Roman tax collectors were not renowned for their delicate means. I think it will have been very similar to living in Nazi-occupied France.
Life still seemed peaceful for Boudica and the Iceni, isolated up in what is today the county of Norfolk. With King Prasutagus dead, Boudica was to rule the Iceni until her daughters were old enough. Like many early societies, the Iceni had no problem with a woman ruler, but the Romans did. Women had no rights under Roman law. They were the property of their fathers or husbands from birth till death. The Romans would recognize neither Boudica nor her daughters as rightful heirs. They demanded that all Iceni lands be handed over to Rome.
The Roman procurator, who is not a pleasant man, is sent in to claim what is the emperor's, and as far as he's concerned, everything is the emperor's. Half of it was the emperor's in the will, half of it was given to the daughters. Daughters are women, women don't count, thank you, we'll take the lot.
Legionary! Requerite.
Hic est imperatore.
Ne! Catates ne!
Duce et obsequium doce. Ecce Regina.
Although before the Romans invaded Icenian territory, we do believe that the Iceni, both Boudica and Prasutagus, were very pro-Roman. They were in favour of the Romans and they were happy to make deals with the Romans. But after this happened, obviously Boudica changed her mind.
Brutality, treachery, and the rape of her children tore at Boudica's heart. This was the moment that changed Britain forever. Boudica's revenge would be apocalyptic. They say hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Imagine the fury that screamed for revenge in Boudica's blood. Her people impoverished, her body scourged, her children violated. Boudica's wrath would mean death for the Romans and anyone with them. Boudica built an army tens of thousands strong. While the Roman governor Suetonius was off in Wales slaughtering Druids, she mustered the support of neighboring tribes like the Trinovantes in eastern Britain.
When the Romans came to Britain, they made their headquarters at Colchester, and Colchester was the capital town of the Trinovantian people. And when the Romans moved to Colchester, they enslaved many of the native Britons. They kicked them out of their houses and off their land. They also built many forts in Trinovantian territory, and also the Trinovantes had to pay and give money for the building of the Temple of Claudius in Colchester.
We know from the Roman historian Tacitus that this temple was looked upon with particular hatred. It was looked upon as, and I quote, the citadel of an everlasting tyranny. And when the revolt breaks out in AD 60, one of the reasons why the Trinovantes joined the revolt is that they want to destroy Colchester lock, stock and barrel, and especially the Temple of Claudius.
As they descended on the Roman town of Colchester, not a single defense stood in their way. The Romans had no idea what would hit them.
When Boudica gets here, the town was burnt to the ground, the population was wiped out in its entirety. What really Boudica wanted to do, I think, was to put the clock back to before the Roman invasion of Britain.